whatever you want to call me, and I'm doing a channel update while I work on Snuggly Bear's Dark Souls character. So let's think. It was last Sunday 2 weeks ago. I went to the local computer parts store and got a bunch of good parts to upgrade the computer, and it was all good. Ended up with an Asus Asus motherboard. Had bought a Cool Max power supply, 600 watt, and a nice big case, because my old computer was a micro ATX. So got it home, opened it up. I'm all nerves. I know how to take apart computers, but not formally. I kind of taught myself, and I built my first computer as my first computer, so it's always a lot of guesswork with me. So I start plugging in parts. I get the motherboard and stuff installed. It goes in okay, but it didn't have enough support. I don't know. I kept feeling like I was gonna break the board, but it goes in well. I had to take the processor out of my old computer, because I had already upgraded my processor, but it was nerve-wracking cleaning off the thermal paste and putting the thermal paste back on, and then I thought I might have burnt it out or something. Okay, so I get the processor in, I got the motherboard in, I get everything wired up, I get the Cool Max 600 watt power supply in. So then I get my first problem. My graphics card, the MSI Armor 2X, which is a great deal at $200. Now that I see these graphics, so it was worth it, but it needed, I know I'm going to be talking computer jargon, I'm sorry, but it needed 2 PCIe 6-pin connectors, and my power supply only came with 1. My old power supply only came with 1. So I ended up going to a guy and got me a Molex to 6-pin. To make a long story short, I just made it work. Okay, so I get the rest of the parts in, I get everything wired up. It's like midnight on Sunday. I'm literally sweating, but it's like the middle of winter. So get it all in, power it on, and it worked. And I was like, all right, yay. Started installing software. And then here it comes. It just starts crashing over and over and over. I must have let it crash 7 to 8 times in a row, because it wasn't even a real crash. It just would freeze. And I was like, what's going on, man? I don't understand it. So I go through it all. It crashed so many times. Windows asked me to kind of update itself. So I went back to original settings, took out every program, lost most of my save game data. Well, actually, I only lost Dark Souls so far. It was the only game who held its save data inside of its own folder. But anyways, I digress. So get myself upgraded, get everything back in. It's still crashing, man. I mean, it's crashing like over and over again, and I'm not really understanding why. So eventually I realized that I was stupid. Excuse me. Number one, I was stupid because I didn't uninstall all the old programs because I reused the hard drive as well. I probably should have just got a new hard drive because they're not that expensive. But so I had programs on top of programs, and like the first problem was that the motherboard's BIOS, I had the old one and the new one, and they were literally just crashing each other out. So, you know, that was no good. The second problem is that I had AMD, you know, Fire software in it before, but so to make a long story short, it just kept crashing. It just kept crashing. I'd reload, I'd wait for hours while programs reinstalled itself. Kept crashing. Well, to make a long story short, Snuggles was smart enough to realize that we had two sets of the programs. So we uninstalled the programs and then reinstalled the new programs. And then you know what? It was beautiful, man. I saw my first shots of Fallout 4 and it was in its 60 frames and everything was real smooth. And then it just cut off like gone instantly. And I'm like, oh no. So I'm sitting there smashing the button, trying to turn it back on, and then it turns on for a second and cuts off, and I have to unplug the power source to get it back on. So that was, I think, Monday afternoons when that happened, and then I just had to wait because I had to work and all that madness until the weekend. So went back up to the computer parts store and returned the old Coolmax 600 watt. So turns out power supply is like super important, and I mean, I already knew this. I didn't like get a cheap power supply, but I didn't get a modern power supply, and mainly it just didn't have the right connection. So the lady at the store was really nice. It was Sunday, so she was kind of like, whatever. So because it was Sunday, we was able to go on ahead and get it returned, and I brought a Corsair 750, which is a beastly piece of equipment. It came with 4 PCIe cables, so I could have done AMD Crossfire technology, which I'm thinking about because the graphics card at $200 was relatively cheap, so I could put 2 of those in there. And then just, man, I wouldn't even know what would happen, but it probably would look the same, but have less lag. So anyways, got it in, powered it on, worked perfectly. Had no issues whatsoever. The only thing that's really been a pain is the Windows updates, but I think it finally caught up to itself and it's working good. The next thing for it is probably some more RAM, because the graphics card wants 4 gigs of RAM and Fallout 4 wants 4 gigs of RAM, and I only have 8 gigs of RAM, so it kind of catches up. But anyways, I'm back. I'm gonna be making daily videos. It'll probably take me a little while to get back to making the more complicated videos. Probably just a couple of days, because honestly, I'm just fried, because I just, you know, I expended a lot of energy trying to get it to work, but in the end it's worth it because you did it yourself. Like Snuggle always says, she's like, you know, yeah, you could buy it, but what happens when it breaks? Who's gonna fix it for you? And not just that, not to digress, but this is kind of a rant on some Dark Souls. If you guys want to see some Dark Souls, let me know, because I'm all about my Dark Souls. But so I was up at said computer supply place, and it had some pre-built machines up there, and for like $1,500 you get the computer that I had last time. I mean, I didn't understand. It gave you expensive parts, but it was like pointless expensive parts, like expensive case and like fans and stuff. But like, Ah, shit, I'm dead. But like the graphics card and stuff, it was really garbage. I think it was like a 2 gig graphics card or something. And that was $1,500. And like they had games playing next to them, but they looked like PS3 games. And then they were on like the little bitty televisions, and I run a 36-inch flat screen television as my monitor. And I think my graphics used to suffer pretty badly for it. So it all worked out in the end, which I'm glad. But this is just a little bit of a rant, because when I used to, before I had my computer, I used to watch YouTubers, and you know, I would watch a lot of modded stuff, especially Skyrim, and that totally got me wanting to make my own computer. And you know, I'm not the smartest guy, but I'm mechanically smart. I work on cars and things like that. I can fix things around the house. You know, being mechanically smart is really important in my opinion. Make your own settlements. But you know, because of that, I just wanted to let people know what can happen. Solid builds are pretty easy, and honestly, building a computer is not that hard. You just have to have a steady hand, because you can damage parts pretty easily, but most parts are pretty durable. Like, I mean, I was like slamming stuff in the case because it just was so new. It didn't want to go into the little slots. Hello? So, you know, if you want to do it, my computer, the new computer, I believe is at about $650, maybe $700. And I mean, graphically, it's great. And not only that, you know, I do more than just play games on it. You know, I work with it, I make videos, I watch television, the whole nine. So to me, it was a better deal. Ooh, can't be stopped, won't be stopped. But anyways, it was a better deal than buying a PlayStation 4. Now, if you have a PlayStation 4, I mean, that's great. Don't get me wrong. I want one because of those exclusives. But, you know, I know that some people want both. Honestly, I want both too. But, you know, Snuggle wants to play online MMOs with me. So we'll probably be getting double computers. But, you know, good stuff. So, you know, don't be discouraged. Take your time, read post. If you do assemble and it doesn't work, go back and read post, because that's all I did. When it didn't work, I just Googled the problem, and they'd be like 4 or 5 pages, and you read through and you try all the solutions. Like one of the most recent things that I have going on is I got 100% disk read when I like first start the game. And, you know, it kind of lags me out, but then I realized it was Windows updating itself constantly. Well, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the rant, and Manny of the Waste is back, and we're going to have more adventures. We're about to start his second half of his life, where he becomes Minuteman Manny, and he makes a fortune in caps, and pretty much makes his own ending. So, anyways, stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the support. Take care.